Good day, everyone. In this video, we're going to look at how we create the data labels. So it's going to be strictly for the data labels. So we're going to use this October-November 2018 paper that had the data labels. So let's just go straight to the instruction with the data labels. So, okay, what we need to understand here is that data labels, they are a type of a report. They are under the reports, used to say they are type of a report. So we are going to do this instruction here, number 28, to see how the data labels can be done in Microsoft Access. Okay, what I've done here is that I prepared the database. I imported the files, I created the relationships and all that. So we'll start just straight at how we deal with the data label. So this instruction here says using fields from both tables, we are going to produce some address labels which contain, okay, they are having these features here. So we need to create the data labels and make sure that they have all these features. So as I've said, data labels, they are a type of a report, which is to say we are going to create them from a database. So now in this database, we are given that we need to filter the data. We need to filter the data in the from the database to conform or to meet this criteria here. And also we need to only select these fields from the database. So on the data labels, we need to have these fields here. We also going to use these fields for our criteria. So how are we going to make sure that we have the data, the required data to create the data labels? That is to say, to do filtering in a database, we use a query. We use a query to do or to perform the filtering or the selection of smaller data from all the data that are having in the database. So maybe before we move on, when we are creating a query, either for a report or for the data labels, there are two things that you need to note. Which fields do you need to have in the query? Which fields do you need to have in the query? There are two. You need to have all the fields that needs to be in the report or in the data labels. That is to say, in this case, we need to have all these fields in the query. Title, first name, last name, @1, town, postcode, mem, date, and also TIN. All this, they need to be in the query. And then in addition to these fields here, we also need to make sure that all these fields that are going to be used for the filtering, they should also be in the query, right? All the fields that needs to show in the report or in the labels, and all the fields that are going to be used in the criteria, they need to be in the query. So now let's create our query. So we'll start with this one here. So what we do here, we'll go to create and then we go to query design, because that one is a little bit simpler. We select both the tables, we say add, we say close, and then now we make sure that all the fields are visible in the tables, just like this. And then now we need to take the fields, we put them in the QBE here. So the question paper here, we need to make sure that we have title, first name, last name. Title, first name, last name. So we come here, title, this is title, you double click first name and also last name, or you can just click you can click and drag to your fields there. It's also going to work. And also the last name, and also there is @1 Let's see the other fields. At one, town, postcode, mem date. Town, postcode, mem date. Where is town? Here is town. Postcode, mem date. And also we need to also have tin. So we also include tenants from this table here. So what we've done now here, we're now having all the fields that needs to appear in the data label. So now let's make sure that also all the fields that are going to be used for the criteria or for the filtering, they are also here. So these are the fields. So do we have membership type? Membership type, it's not appearing here. So we go to the query, we put in membership type. You also include the membership type. Do we have membership date? Here is a membership date. It's okay, we do have it. And then a tin, we do have tin. So now we have all these fields. We have all these fields here. We also have all these fields right here. So we are now okay. So that means we can now be able to do our filtering. So what are our criteria? Because that is going to be the next step. So membership type is adult or family. Membership type here is adult or family. So here we'll just type in the criteria, adult or family. Adult. Yes, it's adult or family. So you type or family. And then to make sure that you minimize the mistakes we are going to make, do not type all the criteria here. Type one criteria, run the query, or go to datasheet view of the query. Why are you doing this? We are making sure that each criteria you have inserted, each criteria you have put, is working correctly. So in this case, membership type is adult or family. So this one is okay. So you can go back to the design view and type in the other criteria. In this case, now we have the membership date. It's before 2015. Membership date, it's before 2015. So here is membership date here. So what does it mean to say the membership date it's before 2015? That is to say we need to select all values that are going to be before 2015, that is to say 2024, 2013, 2012. So I think if we try to imagine that those are the values that are less than 2015. But then when we look at our date here, it's defined as a day, month, year. Day, month, year. So how are we going to make sure that we take all the values that are going to be having a date that is before 2015? So here, this says that our date has to go up to, it has to go up to 31 December. It has to go up to 31 December 2014, because the criteria here says the membership date is before 2015. So the last date of 2014 is going to be 31 December 2014, making sure that you also included the 31 December 2014. After 31 December 2014, we are going to have a 1 January 2015, of which that one is not selected. The date or the membership date, it's before 2015. So it's going to be like this, this criteria here. Another way of typing the same thing here, you can say less than, but then in that case you need to use strictly less than 1 January 2015. So you can also, that criteria is also going to work the same way. Less than 1 January 2015. But this one also is going to work correctly, because we are saying it's the dates that we want, they are less or equals to 31 December 2014. So let's execute and see if they are okay. So here are our dates. They are all before 2015. Here is 31 December 2014. Here is 31 December 2014, which is a correct membership date. So this one has worked well. Again, let's move on to the other one. And then 3 or more tin have been ordered. 3 or more tin. So we go to tin 3 or more. That is to say, we want all values that are going to be greater or equal to 3. So this one is greater or equal to 3. So greater equal to 3, and then you run the query, and then you are going to have it like this, and it has worked correctly, this one also. So here is our query. Let's see if we've done, yes, we've included all the criteria that we are having here. So we were able to do all the criteria. So now we need to save our query and do the next step. So you right click, you say save. It's most conveniently to save using the step numbers. So this one was step 28. So here you can say step 28, so that you can be able to keep track of your queries, because you may have more than one query here. And then, okay, another thing that you can then do, because we remember that there is this field, the member type field, that is not going to appear in the final data labels. You can go to design and remove this tick here. You can remove the tick. In that case, we are not going to have the field on this side. So that could be one way of making sure that you have used the field, but then you do not want it to show. So this is one way. There is another way that you can use also to remove. We are going to see it when we are creating the query. So in this case, let me just put it back. We are going to use it. We are going to use the other method, but this one here is also very, very correct. So let's say save. Let's save the query, and then we close the query. So we now do have the query that is going to be working for our data label. So we've done all this. So we are also going to sort them. So there is a pathway we are going to sort as we are creating the data labels. And then now this instruction here, using this selection to produce the labels, which they are arranged in 2 columns and 4 rows with 8 labels. So they are arranged in 2 columns and 4 rows with 8 labels. But then for our case, because we didn't start the question from the beginning, there was a field we were supposed to add at the top, which was going to make them to be 8. In this case, it means we didn't add that particular record. I think it was when you were doing the this instruction here, this instruction. So you are supposed to edit this field, and then you're going to be able to have them to be 8. So let's say we are now doing this. Let's now create the data labels. So close the query, and then you go to create. They are a type of a report, so it's under the report section here. Labels are under the report section, so you click on labels. Here is labels, you click on it, and then you are going to be given this part, this window here. It's very, very important for you to understand. So with the product number, we do not care about that one. And then we have the dimensions. The dimensions, they've been given here. Here are the dimensions: 6.77 centimeters by 9.9 centimeters, or in millimeters. Here are the labels. And then they also said here they are arranged in 2 columns. This is what we mostly consider. The rows and also this part here, the rows and also the total number of the labels, they are going to depend on your query, either you did it correctly or not. So if your query is correct, you are going to have just this. So in our case, we were supposed to have 8 records. So in our case, we only had 7, but then we'll be able to make these 2 columns. So how do we make the 2 columns? The 2 columns, they are defined by this number across. This number across tells you about the number of columns you are going to be having for your data labels. So let us go and find a data labels with 2 columns with the dimensions that are 67.7 millimeters and also 99 millimeters. So we'll come here and okay, so once you are in this window where you need to now set the number across, where you need to set the columns and also the dimensions. Once you are in this window where you need to set the number of columns and also the dimensions, okay, you can navigate from this list, making sure that the number across is 2, and then trying to find the dimensions, those that are given to you here. But then it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time trying to find the dimensions from here, because sometimes they are going to give you dimensions that are not here. So it's best to use this option of customize. So it's best to use this option of customize. So how to use it? You just click on customize, and then here we are going to create our own dimensions for our label. So we'll say new. Once you have new, you need to start by giving the name of the of the labels. So let's say it's my labels, but the name doesn't matter. And then here we need to have the dimensions for the labels, and here they are in centimeters. They are in centimeters. So if they're in centimeters, in the question paper they said they need to be 6.77 high. The height has to be 6.77. So how do we enter the 6.77? This is where we enter the dimension. So here is our height. So here we need to say it's 6.77. That is going to be our height. And the width from the question paper, they say it's 9.9 centimeters. 9.9 centimeters. So here we say it's 9.9. So it's 9.9 centimeters. When you click anywhere here, you'll be able to see that the labels or the dimensions are going to get in there. So okay, another thing that is just happened here is that we now have this coming out of the page, but it's okay, we are going to sort that out. And it's something that is very, very important, because this we are customizing, we are creating our own dimensions for the labels. We also need to set the number across. So the number across, it's 2, because we need to have, or we must have 2 columns. And then once you've done all of this here, you will then say okay here. This is the part where I said it's because of these dimensions going out of the page. So you will simply say okay, and then you have okay, and then you are going to have your dimensions that you have set here. These are the dimensions that have been given to you: 6.77 centimeters by 9.9 centimeters, and number across is 2. It's my labels. And then here I will say close. I will then close this window. I'm going to find the size here so I can be able to say next. So once I'm here, I'll say next again. There's nothing I'll have to do. And then this is a very, very important part. This is what we refer to as the prototype. This is where we need to create the prototype. You design how exactly do you want to have your labels. You are designing how you exactly want your labels to appear. So here we are going to come in to this here. When we look at this, we can be able to see that we need to have this field, but here they are saying on this point, include a center aligned heading in a larger font size and bold the top areas to be VIP invitation. On the prototype, you should include everything that you want to have in your final label. So the sizes, bolding, and everything, we're going to do it on the next once we are done with the label. So here, let's say we are going to have VIP invitation at the top. You include or you put it. So then say enter. And then after saying enter, we now need to edit these three. We have title, we have the first name, we have the last name. They are in a single line. So what do we do here? We say title, and then you make sure that you leave some space after the title, and then it's title followed by the first name and the last name. So we say first name, a space again, and then last name, right? That is in the first line. So we do that exactly on the prototype. We create the layout of the label on the prototype. So below we have add one. So on the next line, we're going to say enter, and then we put in add one. And then below add one, we have town and also postcode, town and postcode. So we say enter, we say town space a postcode, and then we go to the label again, and then now we want to have mem date and then 10. So it's mem date below here, mem date, and then 10 also here. Mem type, we do not need to have it here, so we are not going to include it. Remember that this was the field they said, or the field that we added, this field here. Where is it? This one here. So there is nowhere where we are going to use the mem type, so we are going to leave it on this section here. So this is the prototype. We want our data label to appear like this, but in the question paper they said you should have your name, center number, and candidate number at the bottom of each label. Because it needs to appear on the label, make sure that you include it just here in the prototype. So it should be your name, center number, and also the candidate number. So it's a name and then SZ 400. Let me just say 000, and then 1 2 3 4 is my candidate number. So this is the prototype. This is very, very important for you to understand. Here we create the layout of the labels. They need to be like this, and then after that you say next. Once you're next, which fields would you like to sort by? They say we need to sort here on the labels, so they should be sorted in ascending order, of last name. So here we are going to say last name, and then we move it to the sorting on the other side, and then we say next. And then what name would you like for your report? This one doesn't have much of a problem. It's going to be the name that is going to appear on this side. So you can say modify, or you can see the labels as they will be printed, and then you say finish. So once you say finish, what you are going to see is going to be the design view of the labels, So let us go and see our labels. So here are the labels. The print preview, in order for you to be able to see if they are in the 2 columns. So here is the 2 columns that you're having. We are having 7 of them. So in this case now, we need to do the settings that they told us about. So the heading here, it needs to be at the center. So click on it, you go to home, and then you make it to be at the center. It should be font size, but center aligned in a larger font size and bold. They didn't tell us the font size, so we'll just increase it to a little bigger font. So let's make it to be 16, and then we bold it, and then we can see that it's there are some details that are now not showing. So just select all the fields so that you can bring them a little back, so that you can have space for that one. So how do you do that? You need to just highlight all that, or you can use you hold Control on your keyboard, and then you highlight all of them. But the easiest one is to simply click and drag to that one, and then you can bring them down so that you can be able to have enough space for the title here. So the font size has to be a little bit bigger. And when we look at the print preview also here, when we look at the print preview, we can be able to see that the labels, they are small. How can we increase the size? And also there are things. So in the design view, you can highlight all this. You can go to home, and then you click on that. You can make it to be, let's say, maybe size 12, so that they can be fully visible. And then you can be able to increase the spaces and the spaces between the labels. Let's say your labels, they are not appearing in they are not in a single page. How can you make sure that they are in one page? So let's say you have more than one page, so there are these spaces here in between the labels. How can you deal with that space? So when you are on your design view, you can minimize the space here. That is going to make your labels to come a little bit closer to one another. So you are now having it like this. So that is all on the data labels. I think here, save and print your labels, so you'll then be able to print them once you are done with them. So here is here are the labels as they wanted them to be. So I hope it was clear. If there is something